Hi, Juanita. All right, I'll start. Oh, fan, 1 minute. I take my pants off. It's just like be comfortable. All right. All right, y'all. I'm gonna make a few people uncomfortable today, but I gotta be me, right? All right. So I was thinking about I think I'm gonna just have to turn that off because it's aggravating me, that little weird sound. All right, so now that that's off, comments. All right, first off, everyone, hi. I hope you all had a great day. Things are going good for you, and if they're not, don't give up. There's always a brighter day tomorrow, okay? Don't worry about that. All right, I'm here because I am quite aggravated with all this nonsense about Ebony K. Williams, high on bias, and Ayala, right? Or I don't even know how to say her name properly. Ayala. Look, I'm done. I don't know. But I saw quite a few interesting videos in reference to her. And what it basically keeps coming back to is Black women need to keep settling for the worst treatment known to man, and that the whole world and our individual societies, wherever we come from, we're supposed to just sit down and accept the worst or low expectations that these people have set for us. And when we don't do that, then like Ayanla said in the Griot short interview, that's a problem, right? I don't think it's a problem. I think it's actually a lot bigger than that. Because as I was watching everybody, right, I watched, and mind you, whenever anything sensational happens, it's always a way for I'm gonna call them ambulance chasers, right, to come out the woodworks on YouTube, and you saw all of them, right? So the main thing they kept focusing on was trying to divide the Black women between the ones who actually felt like there was an issue with what Ebony said about not choosing the plain bus driver, but wanting to date the owner of the bus company. Hold on, Juanita. She says Ebony's life. I don't know why people are trying to live it. It's not just Ebony, Juanita. It's all of us. Like, they just feel like we don't deserve shit. We shouldn't have shit. And what I'm gonna go into is how we actually play into that ourselves, because we feel like we don't deserve shit. And the way that we treat each other is indicative of how other people will and do treat us, because they sit back and watch how we do each other. Like, I'll just put it out there real simple instead of doing all this long-winded shit, and then we can do that later. But it's this simple, right? The reason Ayana felt like that is because I told y'all in the beginning, last video, she was one of those problematic Black mothers who abused the fuck out of her daughter. She didn't have too much of an issue with her son, but she fucked up her daughter. Okay, so much so to the point where it became newsworthy during the time when she first came out. All right, and this was also during the time when Shahrazad Ali came out as well, and they had all of the support and things like that from. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Let me see what you said. Yeah, I don't know why. Oh, okay. I read that one already. One second. Let me get the chain of thought back. So I was saying, oh, so yeah, she she had a really rough situation with her daughter, where people had to get involved in it and everything. Now I have seen that her daughter came out later on, a few years later, and gave her take on like how her childhood was and etc. But I always found it funny that we never thought, like, how can these people who have all of these issues going on with them actually sit there and be able to talk to us about doing right, and we actually sit there and believe them, when it's not like, if I'm telling you I have a daughter that doesn't pay attention to me, but another one does, and it's typical that happens within my household, yours. But then when it gets to the level of somebody having their household business splashed on the news, right? Why is that still a person that we feel like you should follow around? That's a question to ask, right? The other question is, when you have all these people on YouTube trying to tell black women, you got one group over here that feels like you're supposed to take the bus driver, period, no questions asked. Take him because that's all you deserve. Then you have the other ones that say, well, according to my caliber in life, I can't take him because taking him would be like going down a flight of stairs after I done ran all the way up here. I'm not trying to go back down to pull somebody up here. Either he can get up here or he can't. All right. Or you can look at it in the sense of, if I'm an attorney and I'm Ebony making millions of dollars, I should settle for somebody making less than 100,000. And yeah, you're gonna have those people that are gonna say, well, it shouldn't be about the money this person makes. It should be about their character, etc., 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 right? However, when you live in this world, when can you ever make a payment on anything you that's due or coming due based off of somebody's character, how they look, how they act, how they treat you, or how nice their smile is? It's not possible, right? That's crazy. And it also sounds insane, right? But that's what people in this world expect black women to do. They expect us to literally make something out of nothing. And yeah, we're real good with doing the best that we can with almost little to nothing, but that is insane. I've even seen dudes that I don't watch on here, but I've seen them through clips on other women's channels who in the past have said that, you know, the whole thing about wanting black women to be unlike other women and think that we're not supposed to ask for $5 when everybody else is asking for 10, we should be asking for one. They came out and actually said the opposite of what they were saying, that regardless of what we feel, we still have a responsibility to pick these people up when they have let themselves fall down, let themselves go into a level of decay, or just, I know it's not possible for a person to go into muscle atrophy, but I'm going to use that example, right? They just go into atrophy. They don't do anything with themselves and begin to wither away. And so then the world looks at us as if we're supposed to go, that's okay. Don't worry about how fucked up you are. I'm here to save you. I am the black woman, black community social worker. I'm here to put that S on my chest, all your problems on my back, and take you away to Never Never Land and make it all better. That's what's expected. And the amount of women that were good with that was insane. And the amount of other women who weren't, but felt the need to have to come up with excuses why they had to justify not being okay with that, was also problematic. Because you shouldn't have to do either. You shouldn't. Ayanla was dead wrong for asking that question, but she's doing that because we got to look beyond the silly stuff of the interview and why she was on there. She was on there because, if you haven't noticed, her show was not that doing that great, right? She's pretty much, like I said the other day, trying to hold on the strings. She's grasping at strings. So what better than to start a whole bunch of controversy, right? Well done on her part. Well done. I don't even think Ebony saw that coming. So now, here's the issue. Why is that we need to keep doing that as women, black women? Why can't we just unite on things that are positive, that actually benefit all of us? I was going to say each of us, but the same thing, right? Why can't we do that? Why do we always have to only go along with leaders if they look a certain way? They're giving us a particular message. Like Jay said the other day in the live I did with her, if you can relate to them, if they're close to your age, if they're going through the same crisis you're going through, why do we always have to be the overly simplified women who can never like raise up to the complexity of who we really are? Why is that? I'm dead serious. Like today, I'm not trying to be nice. I'm gonna be real fucking brutal in a little while, right? There's a new feature that is on this StreamYard YouTube thing where you could actually do a live where you're joined with other content creators or whatever. What I want to see and what I'm calling for is I want to see all the very dark skinned content creators do lives together. I want that to be done. Because I'm really sick and tired of people that look literally like me always getting the short end of the stick to everyone else on here that you wouldn't even imagine. There was a post yesterday or today, I think, coming from somebody come listen to this, where that the angry biracial dude who has disrespected black women in the past, me being one of them, right? He is up to like 10K subscribers. And you have black women on here who are actually out here, like unbiased, right? What's the other lady's name? Somebody come listen to this. A few others where Marie, a few other people where they're actually about trying to open the minds of black women and make you that complexity of a human being that you need to be. How come they don't have 10,000 or I don't, or anybody that looks like me or doesn't look like Cynthia, Bourbon Bougie? Come listen to this podcast. Thank you, Unbiased, right? Or the new one that came out that was with Bourbon Bougie the other day, using that same new feature I'm talking to you about, which is what's her name? A Piece of My Mind, who was crazy rude to me one time too. And I was like, what the? But anyway, so I want to see that because I want to know why, as black women, why do y'all keep you yell and complain about stereotypes, right? But then you live up to the stereotypes 100% every day. Because I don't know why you can't get out of your own way. And it is so simple to do. If you just adopt the mindset that it is all of us. She said, as for, okay, Bias is talking about angry biracial. She said he has a lot of followers on TikTok and they come over and follow. Yeah, he does. But what I'm getting at is what I have an issue with. He's not even a real black person. He's an Arabic dude with a black father. I'm a black woman. All of the small content creators on YouTube are real black women, authentic black women. Who could care more about black women than us? Especially the ones that are not on here playing the little algorithm games like Bourbon Bougie and A Piece of My Mind, where they keep their shit exactly under the amount of time it's supposed to be so people could come and watch the videos, and they make sure that they watch that little arrow go up and they stay within that little, that little frame where they're supposed to be. But yet they ain't never really talking about nothing. They're not really talking about things to help black women with housing, employment, childcare, other personal crises that black women are going through or building their self-esteem. All they ever doing is the same stick in the mud that everybody else does. If it's a way to talk shit about black males and try to trauma bond to a certain extent with black women over bullshit, instead of really dealing with things that affect us the way that we need to talk about it, they're nowhere to be found. The other day when I was talking to Jay in reference to the live that a Real Talk with Yanni did, and how she's always trying to do this separate and divide thing between young women and their moms, in reference to how older women are always so out of touch. They never know what they're talking about. We did things so wrong. And now because of the fact that we was so screwed up as people, we have done you guys so wrong, and you got so much to do to catch up and make up for it. So tired of hearing that shit because it's so untrue. But this also plays into what I'm talking about. Like, why can't we just do what we're supposed to do for each other? Is that slave teaching so thick in our heads that we can't get past that shit to respect each other to the point where we understand that even if you don't like the person, do for them before you do for an outsider? Meaning black male, white woman, white man, half black man, whatever. Any black woman on here, she should have 3 times as many fucking subscribers and everything that's way beyond anybody else that is not a black woman. Because when they come on here, they're coming on here for black women. And honestly, truth be told, if y'all want anything to change in your lives as black people collectively, you're going to have to stop acting and showing the world that there's no one else in the world you can't stand more than another black woman that looks like you. And especially if her color is like mine. It really makes no sense. I sit here and watch all day. I'm like, this shit is ridiculous. You know that there are people on here that are seriously problematic. They've been on here for more than 10 years. You still keep flocking to them. You will not stop. And whenever they say anything about how Cynthia's on here forever, okay? She doesn't do anything to help you. All she does is take from you. Every day she talks about the same dumb shit. Biracial women, who they choose, what black men are doing, what they're not doing, and how you should be concerned with that. Why should you be concerned with that? I really would like somebody to tell me. No matter what comes out about this chick, you do not want to listen, even when it comes to people who are actually literally close to her. Woman's Fear, Nyla, Irene, it goes on and on and on. All right? You just will not let it go. Why is that? Is she that great black woman hope that y'all are looking for that does not exist? That shit doesn't exist the same way the great white hope or great white burden doesn't exist. What are y'all looking for? When you have people who are honestly trying to tap into you and give things to you, you treat them like shit. And then you wonder why the world looks at you as if you don't deserve shit. And when somebody is in a position to cause a whole big hoopla over disrespecting you and degrading you, you don't even understand why they did that and how you should react to it. Biracial women copped out identity. She shows black women. You really need her to do that unbiased? I don't give a fuck about biracial women. They don't do anything to me because I don't let them. Y'all let them. You know how? When you look at the stats of all those light-skinned chicks that are on here, long hair, all this fucking makeup for days, really actually busted. But because y'all are attracted to that shit because you've been taught that you're ugly, because you're dark and you don't look like them, you're the ones that are giving them that clout. They can't take nothing from you. My point is that you do not give them. And her always talking about them only shows that somewhere in her lifetime, some dude she really liked dissed her for one of them biracials. That's what it shows. That's all it shows. That's all it shows. But what I'm talking about is us. Like when I'm telling you these things and I'm bringing it to your attention, why is it the autopilot for you to think negatively instead of understanding what I'm saying to you? There is a changing of the guards that is needed if y'all want to have things change for us. Period. And it has nothing to do with a particular person. It has to do with each and every one of you and how you're thinking about things. Because that stuff is not doing us any good anymore. It really is not. What'd you say? I'm not talking about, okay, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about biracials, okay? So, because I'm not going to stop what I'm doing to keep making a whole conversation about them. I don't care about that what she tries to make important. That shit is not important. Believe me, it's not. When you walk into a room anywhere where other people in there that are non-black, they're gonna know you're a black woman versus another person who's not. They know that. They authentically know that by how you look. They cannot co-opt anything you do not give them. You're right. We do got to talk about issues before finding a solution, which is what I'm talking about right now. And it's not biracial women. It's black women who look very much like me, who want to keep idolizing women that look like her and others, instead of understanding that you need to be respecting all of us, not just somebody who's light skinned, maybe looks like, I guess, whatever you think you want to look like or what you feel is attractive, because that's the colorism shit that Chrissy is always talking about, that I never actually really believed was true within black women towards each other to that extent. But she was 100% right, because it makes no fucking sense. And I really mean this, that people got to hide behind fucking avatars because they know that if they're not something that is not what the general consensus is of black beauty, if they're brown or darker, that, how does that make any sense that they got to hide, and that the only black women on here that have any type of significant following and people actually listen to, who are not saying anything at all, are all the same fucking prototype? Do I have to pull them up to show you what I mean? They all look exactly like each other. The exact same fucking prototype. They all look like each other. Not one of them is different. Maybe one may be a little bit lighter than the other one, but there are none of them that look like dark women. Why is that? That has a lot to do with the reasons why we cannot unite. Because if a person like me is telling you, if an older woman is telling you this, or a younger woman is saying that, or this is an opportunity for you, or that's not, you look at me when I'm talking to you, listen to what I'm saying. But as soon as I'm out of sight, I'm out of mind. And even sometimes when I'm saying it, it doesn't matter, because I'm not that aesthetic that you're looking for, that you think is attractive and what makes you authentically somebody that is a leader or cult of personality for blackness on YouTube. You see how crazy that shit is? And do you see why when I'm saying to y'all, people who pay attention to psychology, right? And sociology, they look at that type of stuff when they're studying our videos, and they watch to see how we interact with each other. And then they go on to shows and make sensationalized comments like that to further fuck with your psyche and your self-esteem, and to further tear you apart, because they look how easy and how simplistic it is to just poke the little things on you that already make you problematic. Now, as I'm saying this, I doubt very much that any of you are taking what I'm saying seriously or really understand what I'm saying, because you're not saying anything about what I'm talking about. You're talking around everything that I'm not speaking about, to try to justify people that are very, very toxic. That's the same thing that happened when I was on Atari's live, and I was talking about the fact that when she speaks to women and talking to them about the idiocy of vetting and etc., that's still putting black women in harm's way, and that will probably eventually end up landing them on the list of black femicide. Now, when I said that, I was immediately attacked, right? So much so to the point where me and him was going at it, right? And it was a whole big thing after that. Why does shit like that have to happen if somebody's speaking the truth about something that you don't want to accept? Why is it so hard to just accept it and then try to change it and do better? I get no answer. I get nothing. It's dead. But if I was talking silly shit that she talks about, like the biracials that are always on that show talking about how they wish they had a black mother. We fucking get it already. Okay, we get it. So fucking what? That's your lot in life. Deal with it. Or divorce yourself from the white part that you have an issue with. Go learn some black history, get involved, ingratiate yourself in black community, and you'll be good. Learn how to fit in. It's that simple. You don't have to hear that shit all year. You don't. But if somebody's talking to you about job opportunity, learning tech, doing whatever it is outside of that silly shit where you actually can try to mold yourself to grow, to get some type of like different level of self-efficacy where you could do something else besides the same old impoverished, ignorant ghetto shit. You got such a problem with that. I still haven't got an answer. Why can't we unite the way we're supposed to? Why do we always have to have cliques and separations or degrees of separation because of how we look when we know how we all look? Juanita said, I think some people are used to toxic behavior and feel most definitely, Juanita. That's definitely what it is. Because ever since that thing happened with Ebony and Ayanla, whatever her name is, people have literally been doing panels, arguing about what black women are entitled to, what they should stop feeling like they're not entitled to, and the worst one yet is their responsibility to try to make up for the shortcomings of everybody else in our black community outside of the black woman. Like you supposed to pick up the black dude, the black boy, the old man, everybody, as long as it's not the little black girl and the black woman. They've really been having these conversations. And it's all been centered around how somebody else is always keeping one particular population of the black community down, this imaginary force. Hey, Love Wisdom. And so I'm still asking that question. And then I don't even know why I bother asking the question because, I'm telling you, YouTube is a joke. You have a few people on here trying to do the right thing, giving people, I guess, like Renaissance education or Renaissance social studies to whatever is going on in the world. But for the most part, it seems like all black women want to do all day is talk stupid shit about dudes that you shouldn't be concerned with. And the main ones doing that always have the highest numbers of subscribers. Like even with the angry biracial dude, he has a literal problem with black men because his father was a black dude that he felt like, I don't know his life, so I can't say whether it's here or there, disrespected his mom and deserted him. So since he has abandonment issues and all other type of issues, a fucking identity crisis, right? He comes on here and all he does is man bash or blackmail bash under the guise of I'm protecting black women. I'm speaking up for black women. All right, fine. You may be saying some things that are, beneficial and even encouraging and defensive as far as we're concerned when our reputation is on the line. But when it really comes down to it, he's not doing anything for us. He's not doing anything besides saying if someone says, "Oh, black women are bad," oh no, they're not. Who the fuck can't do that? Who can't do that? It's the same with all of them. Who cares about doing the retorts and the comebacks to the passport bros or whatever they're calling themselves now and manosphere? And it's who cares about all that? Should you not be caring about things that are really important to black women, like us getting evicted all over the goddamn country? not having adequate pay for all the fucking hard work we do, aren't those topics some of the things that we should be taking way more seriously? But I guess that's not going to become an important topic unless I go like 5 shades lighter, start looking like Cynthia, Bourbon Bougie, or a piece of my mind, or anybody else on here that's not a normally colored looking black woman. You know, I guess you got to have go through that transformation for people to give you any type of airtime and real consideration, because it is fucking ridiculous at this point. Like y'all never do y'all ever stop, sit back and look at the shit that we do on here to see how ridiculous we look? There's nobody really on here talking about nothing. Like, hold on 1 second, let me read this. She said, I can tell black women to be careful of male miscreants. They what? They, girl, it ain't just them, it's the women too. I'm getting ready to say something. Like, I'm biasing the boss. You remember you had emailed me about trying to look into the class action suit about the hate speech about us here on YouTube? I went to that lady that you had referred me to. She's another one who's full of shit. I asked her a question. You know what she did in return? She gave me a fucking red heart, and that was it. She never answered the question. She never followed up. She didn't give a fuck about what I was saying about black women. But yet, she worried about them fucking numbers, though. So my frustration is, I really would like to see us wake up so that we don't have to have conversations about the bus driver and people like Ayanla saying inflammatory stuff so that she can hang on to her career and have something to do in life and be, a household name again off of the backs of black women. Don't y'all get tired of getting used by everybody on here? I don't think you do, because the ones using you got the most subscribers, they got the most traction, and they're all a bunch of fucking exploitationists. All of them. Whether it be women, men, whoever, every one of them. And the crazy part is, you keep taking the shit. You keep being used. You just ended the Pearly thing and all the fallout from that. Then we had the Princella thing where she played herself by going over there with the fresh and fit people. And then they disrespected her. And the Saint and the Sitter dude just straight up destroyed her on a broadcast. And she's still banging that fucking drum. Cynthia's still banging that fucking drum. They're all banging it. When are we going to stop this stupid shit? When? I really want to know when. When do we get on here and start doing like all the other groups of women where we're concerned about other women that we live around living better than they do? Dealing with the domestic violence that we deal with. Dealing with the poor conditions of the education our children receive. Caring about if the family down the block from us knows that there's a food pantry or whatever, so they go get something to eat or whatever. Just giving out the resources that need to be given out so we are taken care of. When are we going to start doing that instead of doing the same old shit? We're one trick pony on here. All they want to talk about is
unknown caller.
Man bashing all day. That's it. If that's all you want to do, I wish y'all would just start saying that so that everybody on here trying to like give you something or thinking that you would be interested in something different can just go ahead and stop until the shit burns itself out, crashes and burns, and either all the women die from black femicide or their kids get taken because they're in such a fucked up situation dealing with these people they shouldn't. End of game. I mean, does it really have to come down to that? Because it seems like every time you turn around, it's getting worse and worse and worse. Now you're not even safe in your home when you're listening to these women and you're doing what they tell you with these situations. They keep pushing you towards. Were y'all aware of the fact that yesterday in Florida, a dude waited for his wife to get home from work, shot his daughter in the head 3 times, and then shot his son in the head. And then when the neighbor called the cops, he came outside and said it was an accident. But that's the type of stuff we want to keep talking about that leads us to those type of real life situations in our own lives that are completely preventable, where you could be much happier instead of grieving and going through all types of therapy for the rest of your life because of the fact that you got nothing but people on here. I'm mostly concerned about the women. Women on here all day trying to convince you that you're not good enough and that you should be settling for the offer or the disrespect Ayanla gave Ebony. Because that's what you're getting when you listen to Cynthia and all those women telling you that silly shit about vetting and keeping in mind that there is a possibility that it's not all of them and it is somebody out there for you you're going to find. Just keep looking. How many lives got to be taken before we wise up and start thinking that we're worth more than all that stuff that constantly happens to us day in and day out? You want to know something else that was funny too, to show you how fucked up black women are in their head about each other? You know that piece of shit Tommy Sotomayor? He popped up on somebody's live the other day, a black woman, right? And she normally don't get a whole lot of traction to her page. But since he showed up, it was all these women dying to get on that panel to do what? To get disrespected by him? Because you know that's what happened, right? I guess the question should be really to myself, like, why do I care so much? Why do I care? Because, like, if you guys have noticed, right, think about my history on here. People come at me out of the blue that I don't even talk about. Now, I expect it for the people that I actually talk shit about because they deserve it, right? They don't. But it was people like, I forget that divestor's name. She changed her name since that shit happened. She came because she was upset with the fact that I feel like if these people are going to be on here exploiting you, making money off of pretty much betraying you, you should get something out of it. Even if it's a minimum of small amount of information, you should get something. You should not get absolutely nothing, right? So that has happened to me. You guys have known that. Even with the lady Cherie that used to be on my channel a lot, the Black Women Making Money lady. Remember when those black people was in Mexico and they had that situation where they were supposed to be kidnapped and they really messed up the black woman and she was in shock and all that, and only her and one other person survived? Do y'all remember how the woman she had as a guest on her show was talking so disgustingly about the black woman and the black woman only? And I was there that night and I said, wait a minute. Why is she talking like that about the black woman and the black woman only? Why she wasn't spreading that hate for the dudes as well, just the black woman. And then when I mentioned it, what did the black woman do to me? She started yelling at me because I had no way to talk to her back because it wasn't a link situation or none of that. And the vitriol that she had was showing me this is how this woman felt about me from the beginning. And this is a woman that I had extended my platform to, kindness and everything else, shared videos, pushed traffic her way and all that. And then speaking of that, that's another thing I notice happens on here a lot. There's never any like reciprocity. When you do something nice for another black woman on here, they never do it back for you the way that they should. And it's always about what I could get for me and fuck you. And that's another reason. Hold on. You absolutely right. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, what are the problems? Why can't we just do what we're supposed to do like other groups of women? Are we that fucking dysfunctionally mentally and suffer from such psychological effects from slavery we can't get our shit together where you just like other women that look like you? I don't understand why that's asking so fucking much. Why is that so hard? And to honestly identify when somebody is a fucked up individual, like literally, it's not my fucking imagination. And a lot of you know it. You have seen the shit that has happened on here for years. Not like one incident or one day, years of shit. And you still keep making excuses for that individual. I mean, it seems like the only time you will understand that the person is no good for you is what? Do we have to have a reenactment of this of the story of Solomon where she's literally cutting a baby in half because she wants to find out who it really belongs to for y'all to see just how diabolical the character is. Like it's crazy. It is truly crazy. And the reason I keep bringing it out is because I keep warning. We got 2030 coming. We got 2053 coming. This country has already made a promise to us of destitute for Black people. They wrote about it in magazines. They talked about it on shows. No one is paying attention to that because they too busy doing the same old status quo shit. Man bashing and living in la la land. When we gonna start thinking about things that are really gonna help us help each other be all right when shit hits the fan? Hold on, Jay. There are women from other cultures who have gone through slavery and something similar, but those women were able to come together and do what they need to do for themselves. At this point, but they don't have an excuse, Jay. They just and I try not to say the things I really want to say because I don't want to be so shocking and seem like, oh, she's just crazy. It's like they only want to listen to the same old shit that has been taught to us forever, as if we still on the fucking plantation. If it's white, it's right. If it's black, step back. So anything as close to white as possible, oh, we gonna listen. We gonna follow. We gonna understand what you're saying. But anybody like this or darker, it's like, oh, there's nobody trying to listen to what you talking about. Think about what I'm saying. If you go through all of YouTube right now and click on all these people that have been here for a while or even brand new, look at the phenotype. Why do they all look like they all are versions of the same fucking person? If that does not speak to the twisted fucking psychology of Black women, you let me know. When we know, we come like the rainbow, right? And we come beautiful no matter how we look. Why is it that it's that one prototype, that one look, that is the only thing on here that makes all of y'all respond? And the dude, it could be any fucking dude, but the darker the better. The angry biracial dude, he's not lucky, he's crafty. Because instead of him playing to, how fitting the profile of what you're attracted to in the male, he's playing to your emotion of being disrespected, being shamed, and being hurt. And what I'm asking you to do is stop falling and being a sucker for all these people on here that are not doing you no good. And please just start rallying towards doing stuff that bring us together as a group of women so that people could stop attacking us all over in this world. And I really mean that. It's not just about the stupid shit the Black males doing here. Like, one of the other content creators who subscribed to me, she wrote me a story about what happened to her at work in response to the video I did about the black male that was killed the other day here in my city on the train. And I was talking about how this is becoming a problem because people are starting to think that they can just do whatever they want to do to black people, whether there are laws or not that need to be enforced. They are just literally killing black people. And I know here where I live, people have done that already twice and didn't have to, no charges were pressed, and they just got to go home like the life of that black person didn't fucking matter. And those type of things should be important to us too, period. Because people in this world, no matter how you feel about things, you want to be a divester, you want to be WE, whatever, people don't give a fuck about that from the outside looking in. They see black, black. They don't see it as good, bad, you different, you the other, or you the one over there. You just black. So when she was explaining to me that what I was talking about literally happened to her at work, and the only person who actually came to help her was a Hispanic man, no black women thought it was necessary to see another black woman being assaulted or accosted, thought it was important enough to go, yo, I cannot stand here and just let this go unmoved on, because it's not just the thing about putting yourself in the way of danger. It's a reputation, and it needs to be an understanding you put out there for yourself as well as others that are like you, so that people just don't take us for granted and do whatever the fuck they want to do because they know there's going to be no type of reprisal or no consequence for them doing whatever the hell they feel like doing when it comes to us. If that's not a big enough reason for us to like try to come together and understand that we need to be working for things that are more beneficial to us instead of shit that we come on here and trauma bond about, I don't know what is. And I'm really trying to find out how to appeal to you to actually start to change this, because it's been going on too fucking long. It really has. Every time black women seem to be trying to get their shit together, there's something stupid that happens on here where all these people that exploit you, like her and others, they use it, they take it, they run with it, twist it a little bit, and then put you back into the same catch bag of worrying about a fucking relationship and these particular dudes over your education, your future, the health and welfare of your children and yourself, important shit in life, your political standing in this country. The fact that we got black women dying every fucking day because of black femicide. This shit is insulting. Do you know how fucking insulting it is to me? I put up a petition, and it only has a little over 4,000 signatures. And this is about people hurting and killing us. Us. Not anyone else. But when whoever it was, I think it was Chris Logic, who had put up, I think it was, I'm not sure, put up the petition about the silly ass documentary that Beyonce's mother was trying to get out. It was an overwhelming number of people that spoke to that. Do you see how silly this stuff is and how we're just so unprioritized? Like, what? We not important? So if we're not important, why are we going through these bullshit steps of pretending? Just going out there and be used and abused and served like hell till you don't even fucking exist no more, if that's the case. Because the things you need to be fighting for, the things you need to be standing up for, you running away from and avoiding like it's the fucking plague. When that silly shit you're always involved in, you need to be running away from. Who the fuck cares about who they choose? Who gives a fuck about that? Shouldn't you be happy they choosing anybody but you? Even in other people I respected, that's all I hear on their fucking channel too. Is a fucking microphone of echoing her shit all over the place. Like, and it's not even her shit half the time. Half of the time, the shit that she's talking about, RWS hashtag exposed said that shit fucking years ago. And all she did was rehash it. and other women that are not even here anymore. Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely. But I'm telling you, like, it's stupid. It's so stupid it don't even make no sense. And like Jay has said a little while ago, it's to the point where why should people other women even give a fuck about black women anymore? Seriously. Like it is becoming really clear to me that there's never going to be a day where I see other black women and they understand and actually follow through with the fact that you are important and other black women that look like you are important and our fucking unity is important. That it seems like that's never going to be. The thing that every other woman has that we don't, we will never have that because we are so fucking beat down mentally and want to be that way that we shit on every one of us when that person is not the fucking clown you want them to be. It shit is crazy. It is fucking crazy. Black women got to come on here and entertain the fuck out of black women to get partial respect. But you could get a biracial dude that ain't even black. His mama's not black, right? To come on here and be good. And you could get new women on here too, as long as they light skinned and they good too. It shit don't make no sense. And mind you, those same women have never come on here and done anything for black women but exploit the algorithm and the trends that are happening that bring views. Do they even ever say thank you for paying my fucking light bill this month? Do they ever say thank you for the groceries I bought off of you people this month? Do they ever say thank you? But I'm wrong, right? I'm the fucked up one with the issues, right? I've never asked you for shit, but for you to do better and to allow yourself to to come together with your other black women. Y'all, do y'all really understand what I'm saying? Like, you show the insane amount of disrespect for people who are actually showing they care about black women on here rallying for black women. But people who don't give a fuck about you one way or the other, and their friends have told you that. And if you've been paying attention to their whole history on here, it shows you without speaking. You don't acknowledge it. You refuse to acknowledge it. Like you think that if a person is quiet and they ignore what you're saying, it really makes the shit go away. It doesn't. It doesn't. It just shifts the moment, but it don't make it go away. You know what? And y'all don't learn either. Like when Rosa was here, and Rosa was really trying to get the black femicide message out, and she was successful. Whether y'all want to believe it or not, with all the issue with the money shit and all that aside, she had newspapers there. She had people talking about that shit up until the march. No disrespect to the other two women that were with her that are still doing it now, but there have not been the same amount of newspaper articles or coverage since she's been gone. But guess what has happened? The amount of black women and little black girls that have been killed since then have fucking gone up. Incredibly so. I mean, I don't know what y'all want. Like, is it really gonna have to take anarchy on black women, the whole fucking world, before y'all realize that you're wasting your time on here with people like that who are always talking about shit that is not important? I really want to know what are y'all doing? Do y'all not see where we're headed? We're headed to being third class citizens in this country. I don't even care about the amount of black women that have surpassed the lives that any of us could even envision because that's a small percentage of us. She said she don't have no more. Is what words do you really have? Like, in all honesty, Jay, when I go this October to this rally, I can almost guarantee it'll probably be less people than it was last year. And the only reason why this whole thing with Ebony, Kay Williams, and Ayanla is a big deal is because black men are centered. If black males wasn't centered, nobody would even give a fuck about this. And that should make you think twice. That should make you sit up in your seat and go, so nobody gives a fuck about me, huh? Not even other women like me. And that still doesn't move you, right? No. Because as long as you have people like Real Talk with Yanni, Bourbon Bougie, A Piece of My Mind, and other people like that, you good. You good. You good, right? Because as long as we keep talking about those males and keeping them centered in every fucking thing we do, the whole world's just gonna come together. It is really so frustrating. It is so frustrating. And you know what's crazy? You know that is so tired that people who were actually on here doing the real fight and really making an impact in busting down all of this tearing down of our reputation that these dudes were doing in the beginning, those women don't give a shit about it no more either, because you have beat the shit out of them to death to the point where they don't give a fuck no more either. Like even Crystal Swirl, she used to be one of the main ones on here, her with the other lady that left, trying to beat them back. And now she done too. Because how long do y'all expect black women who really care about y'all to keep fighting for y'all when all you keep doing is showing us you don't give a goddamn about what we say, how we feel, or what we talking about? Because it's too busy to talk about who they really choose. And I guess the talking points will be all of the devastation that happens to black women throughout the nation when it starts to happen to us uh in every year up until 2030, when they predicted that more than 50% of the black population will be unemployed. And then their predictions and what they're working towards is to have all of us be completely destitute by 2050. Now, y'all know y'all saw those Forbes articles I put up in the old channel. It was live and as large and real as day. You saw what they are predicting for us. So, why are you still doing the same stuff on here? I don't care about biracials. They got a white parent who got more money than a lot of some children with two black parents have. They gonna be all right. I don't give a shit about them. I don't care how many of them are in a room. When I walk in there, people gonna know I'm the black woman and not them. I don't know, y'all. I really don't. I don't. I really am like getting to the point where I want to like completely give up altogether, not even do anything outside of this, because it's like, what do I do this shit for? It's not even enough of you to show me the effort I put out to give all the information that I do is even worth it. Like in the last channel, it took me fucking forever to get to 2.5K. You got people on here singing fucking jingles, talking bullshit with like 20, 50, almost 100,000 people, and a person coming giving you job information, housing information, legal information, all the shit that I've done. You, here I am still, not even at 1,000 fucking subscribers, and I'm always bringing something to your attention. Just today, I brought a whole. I saw some on the news that had to do with black women in business, where you could get money for grants and also to be hooked up with mentorships with the IT company that would make sure that not only when you started your business, but that you also would have the bandwidth and everything else you needed. to keep your data and your clients and all of that for an eternity without worrying about having to stop your business or having your business interrupted because you didn't have enough memory and etc. Those are the things I do. Those are the things I know is important to black women. Not worrying about biracials, who this black dude is fucking, whatever other dumb shit they're talking about men all over here. Why do y'all keep? Is any of that shit making your lives better? Is any of that showing you how to go to court and get a stay for an eviction? Is any of that shit explaining to you how to do a stipulation in court so that you could, no matter what a motherfucker does to you, you know how to block it legally so that you could maintain your lifestyle? Is any of that silly shit teaching you that? No, it's not. Is any of that stuff showing you agencies to go to so that you could work remotely from your home and be guaranteed work somewhere, so you don't have to bust your ass running back and forwards to pick up your kids, get from work, go to school, do whatever? None of that is doing that. 1 second. I had to put more water in my pot of making potato salad. But I don't know, man. And honestly, I think it doesn't even matter how I feel about it. I guess it's inevitable that shit is just going to crash for us because we're showing the world that we don't care about nothing besides black male banging. That's all we care about. We ain't caring about real shit in this world. Like, that's all they talk about on here. And trying to do a snazzy comeback to somebody talking about how our women parts stink. Like, we know that's not true. We don't stink. All of that is because people can't get what they want from you. So they're going to try to tear you down. And that's the only thing they can do because they know it'll get a reaction from you. But that's all y'all are concerned with. Like, real things you need to be concerned with, you're not worrying about it. And I know all of us are not doing that great out here because so many of us lost jobs through and during that whole COVID thing and thereafter. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's because people have been on here. No, it can't even be the thing about people being on here forever. It has to go back to the physical prototype of how these people look. It got to be just about how they look. It has to be. So I don't know what else to tell y'all, but me, I'm gonna fall back. I'm gonna fall back because one thing about me, before I gotta get crazy disrespectful with people fucking with me and saying silly things they know is meant to be disrespectful, but they playing like it's not and all that, I just step back because you don't want nothing, so I'm gonna stop giving it. It's this is crazy. This is really crazy to me. It really is. That you have all these grown women on here and not one of them can sit up and say, yes, I understand that we're all wasting time and we need to do better. You know how I feel about it? Don't even sign the petition. Let the shit die. Because I shouldn't have to beg y'all to sign petitions that represent you and people caring about what happens to you. It's like I've been coming on here like ever so often and keep reminding and putting up the picture. Please sign the petition, please sign. And this is for black women not to get killed. No, I'm not doing that either. Cause where are there? I'm sorry. Where are they? There aren't any. There are none. Love wisdom. None. Where are they? It makes no sense that you got almost 100,000 women talking about bullshit every day, all day, and they killing themselves to listen to bullshit all day, all day. I guess I'm the only one that cares about blackness, period, and how things affect black women because it doesn't make sense to me. And that what is really fucked up is that whole mentality of, oh, who gives a fuck when it comes to us? Like that shit is crazy. Like as much as you hate these dudes, they care about each other. And they fight tooth and nail about how people regard them. We're the only ones sitting here not giving a fuck about if one of us gets our brains bashed out tomorrow or next week. We read about one of us getting our throat slashed. It's that shit is crazy. It is really sick. You know, it's funny how a lot of people in here always talk about the art of war, right? When I was talking about what are the problems with us uniting, right? You know, they always try to make that book about relationships with these dudes when it has nothing to do with that. That book literally is about people who manipulate, explaining to them that if you want to control the people and to make sure that they have absolutely no fucking future ever, you fuck with the minds of the women. You make them as weak and uneducated and unwanting in life that they teach that same level of despair, hopelessness, and helplessness to their children. So you never, ever, ever have to worry about them conquering you or defeating you. And honestly, it can't be more evident than in how black women regard other black women. It is really disgusting. You would really think that with all of the horrific stuff we learn, even if we don't want to, by the nightly news, the newspaper, magazine articles, exposés on things that affect us, you would really think we it would click in our heads like, get off the silly shit about the man bashing, worrying about being in relationships with them, worrying about how you should change yourself to be liked or get or in their gaze. Like, when are you gonna let that shit go? Even the arguments about hypergamy and leveling up and being kept or not being kept. When are you gonna let all that silly shit go and just get to the point where you understand that when you care about yourself, you do everything you have to do for yourself. And then anybody else that comes along, they're supplemental to what you're already doing to maintain yourself. Like that is that such a hard concept? Mm. And the crazy shit is, from what I've seen throughout my life experiences, it's going to have to get much, much worse for us in order for us to understand that things really have to change. Really have to change. But why does that always have to be the case? That has always been the case with us. But why can't we stop that? Funny how none of these women ever talk about the importance of you showing up to the marches and getting everybody to recognize your humanity. But they could always talk about who they choose and biracials and all this other unimportant shit. But they could never talk about things that are extremely important to your livelihood. Ugh. Anyway, I understand you get it, love wisdom, because I know you was around a couple of those things when I was talking about what happened. So you've seen it firsthand and how even when the shit is wrong, they still say it's right. And then even when they're confronted with it later on, they still try to make excuses for the shit that was wrong. It's just sheer fucking stupidity at its finest. Like, you just refuse to do what's right. But yet nobody has still answered or given me anything about why is it that we can't unite and do what we need to do the right way? Why do we constantly have to put other black women under the bus to uphold a few who ain't doing shit for all of us? Why do we keep doing that? Why do we keep giving accolades to the light skins and keep going against the darker skins? Why do we keep doing that? Why is it that when the old tell the young say no, and the young tell the others, oh, well, you shouldn't listen to the old? Why do we keep doing that type of silly stuff? Why do we keep doing that? Why do we keep letting people teach us to do that to each other? Nothing. Chat silent, link silent. But if I was Cynthia talking dumb shit, you'd be hitting it, calling, losing your minds with all types of stuff to talk about. Things that are not important to any one of our lives. Or running down statistics that are not important to any of our lives. Not important. Because all you do is make a change in how you do things, and then that makes the drastic difference. You said value. Value what? Value what? That's what I'm saying. We are too divided. And even you pointed that out because you liked what she was talking about when I was mentioning the fact that she talks about nothing of any importance. But you mentioned that biracial business was important. When do you realize that the stuff that she talks about is in her fucking head only? That's in her head. None of that shit is a reality. If black women would stop playing into all of the stereotypes that are created for them, life wouldn't be the way it is for us. All of these people need your support to survive. Case in point, let me play into this for a minute. Whoever this new little girl is with the curly hair, the curly afro, right? Who is not a black woman. I know she's supposed to be partially whatever. Her mom, look, she ain't black, right? Okay. If you know that, everybody else in the world could do what they want with her. She should have no traction with black women, period. That's how you show people how you gatekeep your image and you tell them who you are. It's not a thing of them trying to tell you. You have to show them by how you react to the shit they put out there. That's how you do it. If they put her in a movie, don't go. If there's music that they expect you to buy, don't buy it. It's that is how you show them. You don't need none of that shit she's talking about because it doesn't make any fucking sense. Sorry you feel that way. And if you like her stuff, and then you go ahead and do that. Go ahead. But what I'm saying stands. She is problematic. She has always been problematic. And women that listen to the nonsense she's talking do not live good lives. Listen, are people capable of thinking without her? Are black women capable of thinking for themselves without her? Or is she the brain of black women? She's not a god. She's not even intelligent. Believe me when I tell you. She uses psychology on you that Listen, I'm not gonna sit here trying to debate with you about her being useless. I know it to be true. And if you would rewind the years of her being on YouTube, you would understand that for yourself. You can't be a black woman who started out on here talking about how black women was nappy headed hoes and all the rest of this kind of stuff, and talking about how we weren't worth anything, and all the rest of that stuff she's done to circle around to today where she knows better than everybody else about what it is you're supposed to be doing and how you should always consume yourself with what a black male is doing with his dick and his time. That shit don't make no kind of sense, no matter how you slice it. And I'm done with that shit with her. What I would like you to speak to is what I'm talking about with black women. How do we get black women to move away from that stupid shit and start caring about one another the way they should, instead of what's going on now, where black women can't get no play unless they look like her or close to anybody else on here, light skinned, and what black women think that they are supposed to aspire to be. Talk about that, because that's a real problem. That is a real problem, and that needs to be addressed. We all need to be respected, and we all need to start caring about each other, not just caring about the ones that look cute and who we would like to be or who we think is greater than they really are. Let's stop all that, because that's not what this is supposed to be for. This is actually supposed to be for our education and our expansion and dealing with extenuating factors in this life that put us at a disadvantage. It might, but I don't even care to go into it, because even when you do that, because many people have done that already on here, they still don't care. They still will just not see the person for who the fuck they really are. They just will not do it. So it's like, listen, let them keep going with it, because it's clear that whatever magic or trickery that she's using or making these people feel like she's the cast me out, they will not let it go. And all it is talking about nonsense. There's nothing being spoken about that's going to help black women in any way. All it is doing is teaching you to be further, I should say, feeling inferior to other women. Because when you focusing on other women like that, what is that saying about how you really feel about yourself? Clearly, this girl really must have been feeling some dude that turned her down for a biracial, because she lives her whole life talking about biracial women who are not important in the least. Even they will tell you they're not important. They sit on here all day talking about how they wish they weren't born to the white mother they had. They wish they had a black mom and all this and all their mulatto tragic stories. Like, why are those women important to you? Why? Because she says so? And all that shit she's talking about is a bunch of bullshit. There's no such thing as other people seeing you for what you are not and replacing you with somebody else. All that is bullshit. And all that genocide stupid shit. Have you guys ever read a book on genetics or spoken to a geneticist about how that is not even fucking possible? Like, it's the craziness of all of it is so unreal, and how you so hooked on craziness is beyond me. I'm not entertaining that, Jay. I'm not. I'm really not. And it just is what it is at this point. It's no need to like try to force feed anybody anything, and don't, I'm not gonna let that take over what I'm trying to do here. The thing is, black women, you're gonna have to change. You're gonna have to come to the point where you have a changing of the guards. And all this nonsense on here that right now you're so enthralled with that you can't seem to let go of, you're going to have to drop it cold turkey. Seriously, drop it. leave it alone. Let it crash and burn and be so concerned with what is going on out here in this world with us as a group of people and only us. Otherwise, how many more of us are going to die and things get so bad for us to the point where, since y'all so concerned about being unprotected, if you don't start showing people that you care about each other and you're not caring about just centering black males, how are anybody ever supposed to take you seriously and start looking out for things that only concern you? How are they going to start to do that? They look. I really wish y'all would span back and look at how we look on YouTube. We look like damn fools. Every channel talking about our hair, how we look, our age, the issues you create between mothers and daughters. You make us look dysfunctional in every fucking facet. And then you got this ridiculous looking black woman on here always talking about biracial women and worrying about what black men are doing with white women. Do you know how crazy that shit makes us look? I don't think y'all think about it that way. All this stuff on here makes us look insanely crazy. Like we don't have any real thoughts in our head that are age appropriate or world appropriate. It's like we're a bunch of crazy little kids in adult bodies worrying about stupidity. That's how we look on here, whether y'all understand that or not. Because a person can speak in a monotone voice and reiterate shit from Google and out of textbooks does not make them a phenom. Okay, this is crazy. And especially when you're talking about nonsense. It's not like you sitting up here and teaching women how to get out of the crisis in their lives that they need help with. When you really need help and you need somebody to guide you through some shit, can you go on that channel and find that shit out from her? Or is it the same old stupid shit day in and day out? And for the most part, all of them, that's all they do is play to your emotions on stupidity. Never about how we should do better as women for ourselves. Not none of the stuff that people talk about we should be held accountable for. The hell with that. That's just them wanting to be your maid. Nobody's caring about that. I'm talking about us thinking about those women that are illiterate and things we could do to bring them up to speed so that they could have better situations with their children who are dealing with an illiterate parent or who has a limited parent, and making things okay for them so things could be better for that mom and the one next to her or the one after her that has their limitation. Other people are doing it. Other groups of women are doing it. Why aren't we doing stuff like that instead of the things we're doing right now that don't mean anything? It's nothing going on with us. Nothing but silliness. What'd you say, Asia? She said we should be focused on buying acres together so we could create safe, prosperous communities just for true. And Asia, speaking of that, like remember I had mentioned to you guys a while back about the Boxables and the casitas and all of that. Well, the email had just come day before yesterday that they're available now. So for those of you guys that have a little bit of land or have access to buy a lot or two, and you could put either a casita, they call it casita, it's a Boxable, but they just call them different names, right? Or a tiny house or something on there so that we could rent out spaces to Black women. You could do that now. So now if you contact Boxable, they actually have the units available, and they're no longer one level units. They now have 2-story units. And for those of us that are fancy enough to afford the 3-level units, they have those as well. Okay. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. If we could have more conversations like that about things that truly affect us and how we're working together as Black women to help other Black women is really what I'm talking about, what I would like to see more of on here. Now, granted, you do have quite a few people doing it, but again, only to their benefit. It's not like they're coming on here and giving you real information where it's step by step information or access generally to the actual source where you can go there and get what you need, and for those people to really help you so that each person we come in contact with the info with will actually be affected with real change. Like, that's not happening with us, but that's happening with the white women. That's happening with the Asian women. That's happening with the Hispanic women. Why do we always have to be the retarded kids in the block? Why? We're always the retarded kids on the block. It's crazy. Everybody else is riding right, and we have all these problems, all these bumps in the road, because you focusing on stupid stuff that's not important. Everything on here is about fucking dudes, literally. Come on. You have all these young women out here that actually need some real direction outside of these dumbass young girls on here that are giving them the wrong way to go. Where are you guys to step up, to show them how to go to college, how to leave the block, how to travel and study abroad, to pick careers and fields of study that will ensure that they graduate from college able to live great lives and make good money, and to not to be caught up in this stereotypical shit these people are putting out here on YouTube about how if you go to school, or as Black women go to school, we're the number one group of women in debt, making no money and doing nothing. None of that is true. Everybody who goes to school and has a great career pays a lot of debt back. You don't have to pay it back all at one time. And there's all types of programs out there like forgiveness and others where either you work the shit off, or you could have that amount that you owe significantly reduced. You would have to go on to the FAFSA websites, go on to whatever bank or whoever it is you got the loan from, and find out from them, or go on to the I'm trying to remember what it is. It's the fed.gov website or something like that, where the main people in the federal government that give out the FAFSA application and the money for the different loans and stuff from the government are there to help you recalculate your loans, refinance them, all of that, reduce them, and change your monthly payment plans based off of how much money you make, how much debt you have, whether you're dependent or independent. It's so many things that we should be on here teaching these young girls and other women so that they could teach their children, so that we could begin to change all of this division up, this dysfunction up, the level of ignorance that's running through our community, put an end to it, or at least put a big fucking dent in it. I come on appealing about this all the time. Why is it so difficult to accept that and try to incorporate a little bit of that into all the rest of this nonsense that's on here on a regular? Why is that so hard for people to accept? It's not hard. You just don't want to fucking do it because you used to bullshit. That's really what it is. Truth be told, it's easy to listen to some woman that don't got shit else to do but be on here talking about dudes and biracials and who the fuck they choose all day, and other ones doing the same goddamn thing, instead of talking to you about things that really matter in life. We got to do better. We got to do much better than we doing. It shouldn't just take a conversation about Ebony K. Williams and Ayanla talking about how the whole world feels like we should settle for scraps and what's given to us because we don't deserve shit, to get us a little bit started about how we supposed to be thinking about ourselves and other Black women and putting us in a better position in society. We should be doing that shit every day. Not just because people trying to bust us down right now and make it seem like that real disrespectful goddamn question she posed to Ebony was supposed to be something Ebony was supposed to accept or not be insulted by, because that's an attorney that makes millions of dollars. Why in the hell should she settle for somebody way below her standing or her station in life? That's like asking the king to marry the peasant and think that that's the way it's supposed to be. Does it happen? Yes, but that's not the way it's supposed to be, especially when you live in a capitalist country. So what you're saying is she could bust her ass and work hard to do what she's accomplished in life, but the other person doesn't have to. And because they didn't feel like they had to go harder or further, she's supposed to just take that because she ain't worth nothing else. No, I don't think so. And I think not only do we need to be pushing beyond the limits of the argument of that silly shit, but more so into the argument of us pulling up each other every day in the lives we live for real every day, and start having those conversations on here that are more important than centering dudes in a relationship and other women who don't have shit to do with us. They really don't. What those women eat don't make us shit, and vice versa. And ain't nobody asking us a damn thing when it comes to them, and they ain't asking them shit when it comes to us. Nobody cares about it like that. She creates that world on here that y'all want to live in, but that shit is not a reality in the real world. Not at all. When Stacey Abrams went throughout Georgia and turned that state from a Republican to a Democratic state, she was knocking on black women's doors. And black women got up, voted, and got those Republicans out of there. Not biracial women or anybody else pretending to be a black woman. That's just a small example of how that shit she's talking about don't apply to the real world. And it gets deeper than that. If we would actually stop listening to people like her and understanding the power of us coming together, despite the little differences we have, and focusing on one main goal, which is to gain a political base in this country where we work for the benefit of each other, to have better wage paying jobs, better communities to live in, better schools to send our kids to. If we start working and focusing on that, that would be something for us to come on here and be yelling and screaming and cussing about and trying to make each other believe in. Not the shit we're doing right now. None of that stuff that they're talking about on here it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't amount to anything, and it isn't about anything. And no matter how much you try to argue for its validation, there is none. There is none. When I go to apply for a job and they're looking for someone that's like me, they're going to take me. They're not going to take Miss Ann's daughter. They're not. Because you know why? There are credits for employers who hire black people who are unidentifiably nothing else but black. We're not talking about the silly shit they do for the quotas in Ivy League schools. We're not talking about that. We're talking about real things that affect everyday life of real black women. If you lived here in my city and you got hired for any municipality in the city, they have a box for all of the so-called people in this city, right? And there's one specifically that says African American. And then it says woman or man. And believe me, you're going to have to bring your credentials to get that job. So what she's talking about is not a matter of fact. It's an extension of her imagination off of some trauma she has not yet recovered from. Because she's been talking about that bullshit for a long time. It seems like right after she stopped talking about the white man being the problem to everything, then it was the biracial women. Yeah, that's true, love wisdom. It has always been that situation, but that's the thing that needs to change. It should never be a division straight down the middle of the black women who care versus the black women who don't, because we're all black women. It's a level of madness that people don't want to accept. It would be different if we could be black women sometime and part of the time, right? For that to make sense. If you had an option of not being that, I can understand you having an indifference and not giving a fuck about it because you don't have to be bothered with it, right? But when you have to be bothered with it 24 hours of a day because it's not going anywhere, how can you really be right when you don't care? Because everything you don't care about ultimately is going to fucking affect you no matter what. It's madness for you to be like that. The ones that don't, let them stand alone. No, I'm tired of hearing that too, because it is beyond that already. When we got people dying like this, you're gonna have to demand some change, because the reason they're dying is not because they just walking, needlessly into these situations. They're believing a lot of the trash that's being taught on here. You know that to be true. You know that all those unfortunate young girls that weren't even 20 years old, they're believing a lot of the trash that's taught on here. They're believing that these people actually have their best interest in hand when they're talking all this nonsense every day with, committed faces and voices. And they're lying, and they know they're lying, and they don't give a damn if you die. But they don't got no balls to say that shit. They would never say no shit like that, even though that is what it is. And people who have been in their corner have told you that about them. And you still dismiss the truth. Because instead of you understanding the truth, you want to accept the fact that you think somebody's gunning for the people instead of trying to save you from the bullshit that those people are putting out. They and the whole thing about the money is what it is, right? That's the way the platform is set up. They do it that way deliberately to always cause problems within communities and unity of people. That's the American way of doing shit. Divide and conquer, right? If you get all these women on here to forsake their people, to sell black women out because you're going to give them $1,000 check or whatever the fuck they're getting, that's an incentive for them to become the best snake oil salesman in town, because they don't care about what you're suffering through, because your suffering brings them a benefit. They're like the trained monkey you used to see back in the days with the carnival dude, when he used to turn the little box of music and then the monkey would start dancing and taking his hat off and putting it on. That's literally what they've become today. Modern day performers, out here selling people out, selling their own people out for small trinkets. But yet these are the same people that'll come on here and run through the litany of history of all of this supposed treason and etc. that has been done by other people to us, when they're doing the same fucking thing by misleading you with bogus talking points just to keep you emotionally trapped into what they're talking about at the time. That has nothing to do with nothing. Nothing. And it just gets very frustrating because I don't like seeing black women suffer. I really don't. But I know now that more of us will, because you don't care about people that are telling you you can stop the suffering. You can do it all by yourself. Yourself. You just got to choose to do it. And when you do, you will come off this shit, and you will come off these people on here always talking about centering a relationship and marriage and the best man for the job and all that other stupid shit they talk about. And you will start centering, what is it I need to do for myself? What do I need to accomplish to get and have what I want in life? And once you get on that road, you will be so much better for it. And don't forget to bring another black woman along. Because when you're really looking out for other black women, there should be no gimmicks involved. No gimmicks. Because it should be something that's done selflessly. Just get on here and do that shit. Because you know your benefit is in helping another black woman who might not have been able to do all that shit by herself. Why is that so difficult to do? Why do we always need to be pushed and poked and tricked into doing right by each other? That makes no sense to me. And that is an indoctrination. That is an indoctrination of self-hate. It really is. Because no one should be arguing with me about a person who is detrimental to other black women. And they really are. She's not the only one. There's so many others. But it shouldn't be no pushback against pointing that out and asking for better. The pushback should be in demanding the change. So y'all need to think about that. Because I don't really know what will be the outcome of black women if when that march comes and no one really cares about it and nothing comes out of it, if we don't turn out the way we're supposed to turn out. What will happen to all of those unforeseen little black girls and women that will be slaughtered as a result of the fact that we are allowing us to be treated by everyone like we don't matter? What are those people going to do with that information once they find that out to be actually true and factual? You're talking about being protected. You start by looking out for each other and making sure that we are protected, because there's strength in numbers and only devastation in when you don't give a fuck about another person that looks exactly like you. That makes no sense. And you're fighting women who are fighting for you against women who are just abusing you. That makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. As many of us as it is on here that have information about real jobs, places to tell black women, go here, do that, you will succeed, so that they could get something they didn't have before, so they could live a little bit better than they were doing the day before or the hour before. Why is that something that's so unbelievable and unattainable for us to want to do for each other? Everybody else does that all the time. There are tons of videos on YouTube of white women walking other white women through interviews for specific jobs. She ain't gatekeeping information. She's even putting her fucking email up there for any type of questions they have, or even when the interview is over, to go over what went wrong and how to do it better the next time around. Why aren't you doing that for each other? No, you just on here trying to make a quick buck or two, talking about stupid shit that's only going to make black women more muddled down in nonsense and not focused on what she should be doing. It needs to stop. Something else that I've seen more non-black people speaking against anti-black women rhetoric, because black women were fighting against this, is sticking by each other. You teach black people how you want to be treated. You teach people. Exactly. That is very true. You teach people how you want to be treated. It is true. Everything that she said right there, because when I'm talking about attending that rally, right? It's called the Black Women's March. When you attend that rally, it's not just for the black femicide alone. It's to show lawmakers black women are actually coming together. This is a voting block they will look at. They're not just going to see you as people showing up to yell and scream about some shit. They're going to see you as a voting block. people who have the ability to influence your vote, and most importantly, the hugest demographic we have in this country right now, which is young women and young men. And as young Black women, you can teach other women coming up right behind you who will be voting soon enough or for the first time or whatever, how important that is. And you can direct them to constantly vote for their best interests. This is why it's important, like she said, to teach people how you want to be treated, because once they realize that you're building this network, you're building this matriarch of your importance and your needs being met, they have no choice but to respect it and acknowledge it, because they're going to have to deal with it eventually. Like if they ignore you, okay, for the first time or for a short time, so what? But once you start realizing that, oh, you're ignoring me, okay, so I'm going to take all of my people and all of my votes and we're going to go to this other person. So now you no longer have the job you had before, or straight off the bat, you don't have the opportunity that you were trying to get, because there's power in numbers. There's power in people working towards a goal for themselves. This is what everybody else does. We're the only people who don't do it. And lately, because we have so many women on here trying to redirect our focus onto silly shit, centering dudes and relationships, nobody's on here talking to us about how we should be centering ourselves and working together in grassroots organizations wherever we come from, even if that means 3 or 5 of us sitting on the couch talking about how we're going to try to tell all the people we know to vote for a particular candidate that wants to do right by us, and to avoid and not vote for the one that's doing the wrong things by us. Like with that, case in point, right? One second, I read this article about Black women being the main ones who will determine whether or not Biden will be. Because it's true, because we're the voting block that everybody waits for to determine the final vote. Like they pretty much, by that, here's how it goes. They pretty much know how everybody else is going to vote, right? White women, they're going to vote against their best interest, because voting against their best interest means that their men stay in control. So therefore their lives never change, even if they lose a lot of their rights and take us along with them. But as long as they get to be on the roof and we're at the bottom in the yard, that's the way they want it, right? So Black women, these people know that this is the way it's going to go. Black women, they don't know how it's going to go. They know that if they piss us off, or if we get an appropriate leader like Stacey Abrams, we could be led to do very dangerous things and very swing shift things that they don't like, because it changes the outcome of what they have predicted. And that's the way it always should be. You should never be something that someone takes for granted and they don't even have to work hard, because they know that they could just manipulate you and take whatever they want from you, and you're not going to give any challenge back. So ever since Stacey did that, they're looking at you with a different level of respect, because they know now if you get focused and you come together and you think about what's best for you, you can make radical change. That radical change is what they want to avoid at all costs, because that makes the difference between significant change and maintaining status quo. That stuff is real important, y'all, which is why you really got to let those silly people go, always talking about relationships and worrying about how you supposed to conform to somebody else's opinion of you. You got to let that shit go. You got to let all that go. And you really got to get focused on women and Black women only, and the futures of our little Black girls. You really, really do. That's important. Worrying about biracials and who they really choose, that shit is for the birds. That is some dumb shit that you don't need to be worried with. Because if that's done, what can you do about it? Who cares Do something that you can do something about, that makes a difference for you, which is worrying about the state of affairs with other black women and young girls. If shit is good for them, shit will be good for you, because you are an extension of them and they an extension of you. And that's what we really better start understanding about each other. Although we like to go around thinking that, oh, what I do is what I do, and what you do is what nah, 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 nah. You may think like that. You may even live like that. But the government don't think like that about you. Nor do any of the institutions in this country think like that about you. They look at everything that involves you or me collectively as it pertains to you and me. So you need to start getting on the same page so that we can make things better for people like you and me. All right? All right, I'm going to go because I just really get burnt out, because if it ain't one week, these people always trying to redirect you back to some type of separate and divide stupidity. It's the next week with another one doing the same thing. Last week it was the mothers against the daughters, and then the week before that it was the guys talking about what they liked and didn't like, and how black women are trying to actually conform themselves to that. And now this week it's about whether or not you worthy of this or that. When is this stupidity gonna stop? And when are you gonna like really just get frustrated with people trying to always treat you like the special ed kid? It's just ridiculous. Like, they would not do this to any other women. You got to start making them understand that you're not going to keep doing that shit to me either. All right, Jay, Juanita, and Love. Good night. I'm gonna go. Um, Seriously, y'all, things really got to change. They do. Like, this stuff has to stop. It really does, because I mean, have y'all been noticing that? I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna go, right? Have y'all been noticing that a lot of the women, both young and older, who actually were on here trying to provide women with different alternatives for employment, ways to make money, have you guys noticed that they're leaving, and that a lot of them have left already and they're not coming back? So, do you understand what that means for your future? That you're going to be stuck with people like that, constantly telling you and talking to you about things that are not important to you, literally. And where is that going to eventually get you? If you sit on here and all you talk about all day is about some fantasy driven shit that is never going to become a reality, right? Because no matter how hard you try, if a person does not want you, you cannot make them want you, period. Right? If they don't like you and they're telling you they don't fucking like you, they hate you, they can't stand you, there's nothing you're going to do to get them to treat you nice. So I don't even think many of them even they haven't noticed, Jackie, because like a lot of the ones that I used to talk to myself and go backwards and forwards with information, they literally left. Like, two of them left last week, and there was a couple of others the month before, right? And so all you're left with now is all these new people, like this Burv and Bougie lady, and the other one, A Piece of My Mind, and others like her. Well, all these people are coming in doing the same thing Cynthia's doing, and others like her, and nobody focusing on real things that change black women on here, because they making money off of it, and that's all they care about. That's all they care about. They collaborate to make money. They don't care about how black women's state of affairs are, the conditions of living they go through. None. They don't give a shit about none of that. And the black women on here, most importantly, the subscriber, they're not caring about that either. And they're the ones that's going to be hurt the worst. Because, see, those knucklehead creators, they could walk away with that temporary check that they get. What are you walking away with? Because you do know that this shit ain't gonna last forever either, right? And they're gonna have to get a real job or do something else to make money, because the laws are about to change with this too. Okay, so the way that they're weeding out black women now with the demonetization of their channels, shadow banning, and etc., they're working towards making it where they don't really have to pay you no more either if they don't want to. They're trying to make it go to where the only people that really make money on here are white people. That is coming. So they better think about that and understand that selling out black women is not going to be as advantageous as it is right now forever, because they're about to change the tax laws too, so that once you make over a certain extent on here, you're going to have to pay money on that, taxes on that money, and so many other things, because too many of them like her have been skating by, and the government is never happy with that. But the overall of it is, what's going to happen to the black women? Like, it's the blind leading the blind about stupidity, and nobody on here trying to look out for you to come up in life. Not that you can't do it on your own. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to insult your intelligence. I'm talking about us caring about each other collectively the way we should, the way we fucking used to. Okay? And that's the thing about a lot of you young people that I can't get with. It's like, how you don't understand that being indifferent and not giving a fuck about another black woman that looks like you is something very fucking new. It never used to be a time where we didn't care about each other the way we were supposed to. Even to the point of us coming together and having rent parties, coat parties, anything, food parties, anything we needed to make sure that another black woman was okay. That's just recent stuff where we're all turning our backs on each other and acting like she don't matter. If she don't matter, you don't matter, because she's just like you. You're going to have to stop that. And you're going to have to understand that women promoting that do not deserve to be supported. I don't know, because things don't never happen like overnight, or like a faucet, you turn it on and you turn it off. There's so many like extenuating factors and different things that go into it that make stuff come about. But what I can say is, from what I saw in my own circles, was that the more black women's self-esteem was lowered, and the more they felt like they weren't shit and they would never have shit or never be shit, they didn't care about anything around them, other people, even their own children. Which is why it's so important for you to always have the highest level of self-esteem, and to be able to see anybody, even if the person is just like you, when they are no good for you. Period. You got to get to that point. And that has no age limit on it. You got to be able to see people who are not right and who are not beneficial to you and completely get away from them. Because it's going to be everything they do whenever they're around you to take from you to give to themselves. Because that is the nature of that type of beast. It really is. It doesn't matter who it is. That is the type of beast they are. They're going to always do it. It's like being a living parasite. It really is. It's crazy. But people know this. But they make excuses for it. And instead of dealing with things that are inevitable, like what we're talking about right now, I could almost guarantee you, because it's happened on here like 3 or 4 times, right? Because that's how long they've been on here, right? Some of them have been on here past the decade and still ain't did shit, right? So, but in that time they've been here, things have gotten worse and worse and worse for black women. And it's only gonna get worse, to the point where people are on here and all it is an extremely toxic environment. And anytime you come on here, all you're gonna get is further beaten down in your confidence and your self-esteem, to the point where you are useless to yourself and others. That's what this is turning into. Let me turn this pot off. Like, that's really what it's turning into. Like, you should be able to come on here and have at least 7 or 10 women to choose from to help you with college admissions, how to find out how you get in touch with the admissions counselor wherever you want to go, to find out what prerequisites or courses or classes in high school you need to take in order to get accepted to that college, how to get into a particular college, what you need to do to get into law school, medical school, whatever it is you need to do. All that stuff should be on here, offered to you by people who look just like you, who have went through the trials and errors already, so that you don't have to deal with those mistakes. You just glide straight through to success. You should have that on here. It shouldn't be a fantasy island where whenever you come on here, it's talking about nonsense all day, every day, where you get your little dopamine hit for the time you listening to Who They Really Choose, right? And then in the real world, you come out of that dopamine hit and now you stuck with bills, the reality of whatever your personal situation is, and whatever other shortcomings you got going on at the time. That's not what this shit is supposed to be for. It's actually supposed to be here for people to pull from other people so that things happen positively for everybody, not just a few people. And things happening for them under the guise of disguise, portrayal, and shortchanging people with misinformation. It's stupidity all the time. And it's gotten to the point where it's an expected, acceptable behavior of tomfoolery. Like, how many channels do you see on here where people sensationalize things that are not even the truth? But they have a huge channel based off of nonsense. Why are we always the ass clown on YouTube and everybody else doing the right thing? Does that ever bother any of us the way that it should? You got people that come on here because they have watched us so long. They have created a formula on how to exploit us because we're that simplistic and that stupid. I saw a video just today about some fucking white woman who decided that she would put together a video to push the buttons, poke the bear, so to speak, of Black women based off of what hairstyles she felt made us look elegant and which ones she felt like were a no-go for us. Now, the reason she did that shit is because, like I said to y'all earlier and throughout this video, people sit back and, like I do, just flip through the channels and watch the topics you're talking about and what it is you're talking about. That is utterly fucking stupid. And that is always centered around the same dumb, low-level functioning shit. And so she saw that too. And then she said to herself, you know what? I'm going to come on here, even though I don't even have the right to talk about their hair or what they do with themselves. I'm going to come on here and I'm going to make a video about hairstyles I think are acceptable for Black women and ones that are not. What make them look elegant? Elegant was the word she used. And which ones make them look terrible. Now, the funny thing was, when I watched the video, I looked at what she was talking about, what made them look elegant and what made them look, in her words, non-elegant, right? Give me 1 second, I'm coming. Any of the styles where the Black women's hair was really decorated and showed great length and volume, of course, that wasn't elegant. But, and watch this video, go find it if you can and see what I'm saying is the case. Any of the hairstyles where the woman's hair was pulled back, tightened, shortened, and crumped to the point where you couldn't tell the length or volume of her hair, that was acceptable to her. And you know where that shit stems from. Not only does it stem from the fanfare of trying to shame and dehumanize Black women on YouTube, but it comes from the long history of her people, white women and white men, creating respectability politics about Black women based off of those disgusting stereotypes that all these Black males use about us today on YouTube. So it was a ridiculous video, but in knowing what she was doing and why she was doing it and where she felt like, she had this authority to be like this was making me look at this video like, if they would just ignore this shit, she would not be able to get away with this bullshit. But they give it fanfare. And all she's doing that shit for is to go viral. That's the only reason why she's doing that shit. Because she knows you're a sucker to come to that bullshit. But she said, yeah, I'm so tired of people talking. Me too. Please, Juanita, I'm done with it. Oh, Jackie, you said, I watched a video about a black woman complaining about men not liking. Do you care? You shouldn't care. And that's another thing. Black women got to get out of all that taught nonsense. We don't have 4C hair. There's no scale that our hair fits on. There's not one black woman that has the same texture hair exactly as another black woman. There's not one black woman that has the same skin color exactly as another black woman. That is how uniquely brilliant you are. None of us have the same anything. None of us. So we got to stop believing all this taught nonsense about ourselves when no one should know more about us than we do about ourselves. And we don't have to convince other people about things that are being taught about us. If they're dumb enough to believe stupidity that is taught, let them have at it. You don't owe anybody an education in who you are. They should have an education in enough sense of themselves to know that if a person is constantly talking down on another person, the things that they're saying is based out of an agenda. It's not based out of reality, nor is it based out of truth. All right, guys. I'm going to go put my salad together. Good night. I hope that some of the things I said will provoke thought and change of behavior, but I doubt it, because it seems like I really don't understand the hold that this chick has on people. But anytime I talk about how she's detrimental to black women, there's always somebody coming to her defense, trying to act like I'm crazy for speaking about things that has actually happened throughout her longevity on YouTube. I just don't understand that shit. You could let her go. You will live functionally without her. Believe me. If she was gone tomorrow, you might even have a better life the day after. Because a lot of that shit that you're being programmed to believe and to accept, you will slowly let it erode away and you'll start thinking differently, which is always a better position for you to be in. Good night, y'all. Bye, Jay.